G'day folks, this is Dragon, Aussie Survival in conjunction with Survival HQ. Just driving down this dirt track. I've got to go to a farm to talk to the owner. I've got to caretake it next week for them. This dirt track, you can see here in this bridge, this was washed out about 3 days ago when that severe weather system came down the east coast of Australia. And it's fairly typical of roads, these dirt roads around in my area anyway. A lot of hills, and these creeks rise very rapidly, even with heavy thunderstorms. But this road has been damaged. In fact, this road was closed up until about a couple of days ago. The people on the farm I'm going to visit were actually, they couldn't get out. But this gives you some idea of what happens in this area to dirt roads, particularly with these types of culverts and crossings. You can see where it's washed out there, so the water's been over the road, and it's roads like this when they're flooded, you don't try and drive through them. As you can see there, it's quite easy for a vehicle to get caught or trapped in that washout there if you can't see clearly. And the usual case with these roads is that the water flows very swiftly and very deep. Once the rain stops, they drain off very quickly. And in fact, this creek has still got water running in it. So just some road repair guys drove past. So yeah, there's a sign up the road saying road closed, water over road, but I do know people have been getting in and out of here. So I'm in my light four-wheel drive, and we'll see how we go. The bush around here is very thick, as you can see. It was only a matter of probably 2 or 3 weeks ago with high temperatures. This was a potential fire hazard. In fact, about a week before Christmas, we had bushfires burning in the area. Very close to this location. So it's from one extreme to the other. You get a bushfire in this place on these dirt roads, it comes down to a point where the homesteads around here, you haven't got much time to get out. These roads are death traps in bushfire situations. In fact, a lot of the rural fire services won't even come down these roads. So anyway, we'll keep going and see what condition the road is further up the track. Well, this is the other side of the washed out culvert, a better view of it. And this happened a few days ago, and this is where people get themselves into trouble, particularly on bush tracks. You can see the damage there. And when there's water flowing over this, you can't see that there. And this is where a lot of people in vehicles and even walking across these get into trouble, serious trouble. The water's flowing from my right to left. You can see the damage there. They patched the road up a bit. We just had a heavy shower of rain, and the water's running. The water's still running in this creek. Now these little creeks here with heavy rain are subject to flash flooding very quick, and a lot of people have been caught on these. This is fairly typical of the weather related problems we have in this area with these bush tracks. So you can see there, we've only just had a heavy shower and the water's flowing down the road again, so it won't take much to bring this stream up. It's got quite a big catchment area up this way. You can see there, thick bush, but further off to my right, quite a huge catchment area. When the soil's saturated after heavy rain, it doesn't soak in, it just runs off, and that's why we get flooding over these bush bridges. There we go. Okay, still on the same dirt road. Just to show you some of the bushland around here. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. See if I can zoom it in a bit. But down there is a creek bed, and because of the hilly area around here, if you have a look in front of you there's quite a heavy fire load there once this stuff dries out, and it won't take long to dry out. but it goes downhill to a creek and then up the other side to a hill. And in Australia, these provide very dangerous conditions for bushfires, particularly if you get the right conditions, the heat and the wind. And these bushfires generate their own micro weather wind system, I suppose you could say, drawing in air to fuel the fire. As I said before, these roads are death traps, because if they get up into the treetops, and it has happened, you've got a firestorm, and you get caught on these roads, well, to say the least, you're in serious trouble. Off to my left here, there's another slope. Going up there, as you can see, a lot of lantana, a lot of low vegetation. When this dries out, it's ideal for bushfire conditions. In fact, as I mentioned before, once before Christmas, we had bushfires around this area. They were caused by lightning strikes from dry storms. So yes, we've had about 3 or 4 days of rain, but it won't take long to dry out with the heat. It's quite humid today actually, and I dare say within a matter of probably a couple of weeks or so, if we don't get any more rain, the bushfire threat and alert is going to rise in this area. You can see the road there. It's not a bad all-weather road. 2011, 2010, the flooding crisis in this area. There's a lot of damage to this road. It's a pretty good all-purpose road, except for that culvert where I showed you back there. And the trouble with these dirt roads is that a lot of them aren't on road maps. They aren't on GPS systems, so the locals rely on a lot of local knowledge to find these roads. And the same with the local emergency services, rural fire, police, ambulance and so on. So it's one of those things in the Australian bush. A lot of these roads don't even show up on maps or GPSs. Okay, moving on. Okay, just driving in to the property I'm caretaking at the moment, and this is the road into the property. I'm actually on private property at the moment. As you can see, that the condition of the road is, well, shall we say, a little bit on the rough side. So when you're considering living off grid, quite often access roads to properties like this are quite common. And you really got to look at the types of vehicles that you're using as to whether they can sustain the punishment they get on these sorts of roads. Usually the 4x4s are pretty good. If you get the 4x2 low clearance vehicles like they use in the cities and urban areas, yes, in most cases they can get through areas like this. But you've got to bear in mind that those types of vehicles aren't designed for this sort of track or bushwork. So that's another consideration that perhaps would like to think about when considering living off grid. This one here it's a single vehicle track, and indeed just coming in the road roughly from the east. This is fairly typical. So with oncoming traffic, in some areas you haven't got a lot of room to pass each other, which is another consideration you sort of got to look at when living off grid. Okay, moving on. Well folks, I'm just pulling out of the farm I'm going to caretake for the next week or so. It started to rain again, so I couldn't do any video shoots up there. Worked out privacy agreements with the owner of the place, so just driving back down this road. The way this camera's bouncing around, you can see how it's a little bit on the rough side. I've seen worse, but there's a lot of washouts on this particular section of road. A small gully here that had water across it a few days ago, which cut the road. So on the way back, I'll see if I can get a shot of that off Grid Homestead on the be on my left hand side. So back soon.